having that more long-term mindset that like the brand will come, and like you can use it to influence sales, but it is not going to be the thing that gets reps on the board initially.
Yeah. And that's a mistake I think some people fall into, is thinking that the personal brand will influence sales. It's kind of honestly kind of like a mindset trap that people fall into, because like, oh, didn't you see my Instagram? And then the person on the phone's like,
No,
no. And
I
like
don't
you're
care.
arrogant and like
Yeah.
egotistical for saying that. So screw you. Yeah. So something that I think sometimes carries a little bit more weight, especially for people who don't know as much than it really does overall.
Yeah. What are some of the other mistakes you feel like people make in either business in general or more specifically in sales?
This is just a personal thing, but I think a lot of people get partners when they don't need one, or they get a partner and their business is brand new and they don't know their partner, they don't understand their partner. They get a partner based off of like friendships versus like skill sets.
Mm.
So I don't recommend partners. I think partners make everything more difficult. I've seen very few actually be like fruitful in terms of business, more than I've seen them kind of like things break apart, fall apart.
Hmm.
I think if you're going to get a partner, you need someone who's going to complement the skills that you lack. So for me, like if I was going to get a partner, I love sales, but I'm sort of weak with like automation and the tech, right?
Hmm.
That's like my weakness. So that's an example of like a partner I would go after. That's a very common mistake I see, and I think part of it though is people who are starting, or sometimes people who are newer, they feel like they need someone to succeed. They're not like
Yeah.
100% confident with their own skills. Uh, and then I know we're talking about it, but I would say this is almost like the first mistake, is people undersell themselves and undercharge for way too long. It's so funny to me, man, because I have a client who just came on who's sponsored by Alpha Elite, 500,000 followers. Like her content's amazing, like just great,
She
like
has the social
fantastic.
awareness. Yeah. And I can already tell you where
Social
this is
awareness.
going. Low
She's
price
been
point.
selling like a $400, little program. And then I have another
Yeah.
client who has 10,000 followers who's doing, upwards of $80,000 a month, selling a $4,200 program. And or like, 10,000 followers, like not the greatest
And arguably
content.
doing it easier.
Yeah, doing it way easier, not having to post, not having to shoot videos at the gym all the time, not worrying about like so much what she's wearing, those types of things, not having to get on Instagram stories all day long. So it's just interesting to see that, right? Like if you put the pictures up and you were like, which one does better? Everyone's gonna be like, oh, like the one sponsored by Alpha Elite, but like the numbers don't
Yeah.
lie, it's crazy.
Yeah. What would your advice be around people comparing their price point to others in their industry?
Yeah, it's a trap.
Yeah. Because I think that sums it up from what you said there. There's someone there that was like from an optics perspective, uh, you would assume they're more financially successful and have better cash flow and so on and so forth. And if we make a comparison to that, that's the standard you'll set. Like, how do you feel like you break that trap?
Yeah, well, and not to come across like contradictive, but I teach a lot of time, don't compare your pricing or your offer to someone who's super far ahead of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was working with another coach that was pricing their program based off of something Tony Robbins was charging. I'm like, dude, come on, like Tony Robbins has worked with Michael Jordan, like the Boston Celtics, like major people. But you can base it like, if again, my Alpha Elite client, if she's looking at this other client that I'm mentioning, they've been in the fitness industry about the same amount of time. They both have the same credentials. So it's like, why is she charging 400? My other client's charging 4,200. She's charging, 10 times more. Like, and you have the same credentials, you've been in about the same length of time, that there's something wrong with that picture. So I think you can look at people around you, or people that I don't want to say like are super far ahead of you, but maybe people that like, hey, I could be just as good as him, or I think I have similar skills. And if they're charging 3 times, 4 times, 5 times more than you, you can probably get in that sphere.
Mm.
Um, if you're super scared though, I don't think it's bad to start a little lower if you have intentions of ramping up, right? And moving your price point up. But I really don't encourage anyone to start for less than 1,200. So if you're listening to this, you're like, what if I have zero experience, never done anything? Start at 1,200. Once you get your first 10 clients, bump up to 15. Once you get your next 5, 10, you can bump up to 18 and then keep rolling from there. If you're someone who's like, tell me what to charge and do it, a lot of my clients start at 25 in the fitness industry. If they're in real estate industries, different things depending on what they're selling, it'll change. But yeah, I mean, just undercharging this makes me sad because there's just so much left on the table because it's not about the money they're making, but my clients who make more can usually do more in-person events with their clients. They can give better gifts to their clients, fly clients out for like private VIP days. So it just makes your service all around better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think as well, like there's beauty in what you said there with there is not a problem with charging a lower amount initially. Provide it's for that confirmation bias to get the reps to hit that target. And as long as in my opinion, you set that target hard of once I hit X amount, it goes up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. I was like having a plan to move it up. That's where I see a lot of people fail.
Yeah, because I'd assume you'd be on the same page that like to sell something well, you need to have conviction in the actual service itself and believe in it.
Yeah, you can't. You 1,000%. Yeah, it's impossible to sell something you don't believe in because that's someone can tell when you believe in something. You're gonna sell from a place with passion without even having to try versus like forcing it or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.